So Geir, a very proud day for you today.
It's a fantastic day for us. It's a milestone for us, opening this modern robotic factory here in Norway, enabling the shipping industry to be clean for the future.
And it's no exaggeration to say this really is cutting edge, particularly when it comes to automation.
Yeah, it is. It is fully automated. We're going to have only 2 people on the shop floor. The rest will be fully automated by robots, and that's the only way for us to increase the quality and reduce the cost and be able to produce here in Norway.
And Halvard shared with me that the objective is a 6-minute production cycle, and it's currently 7 minutes.
Yeah, no, we want to be able to kick out like 10 modules per hour, and also very important for us now to be very close to where the operators are operating, because you cannot ship battery by air. So for us now we want to have a distributed manufacturing module where we have factories in Vancouver for handling the North America. We have Bergen for Europe, and then we need to look for what we do in Asia shortly.
Asia is such a vast continent. Are you able to say a little bit more precisely around your ambitions there?
The ambition is that, as known in the press already, we have signed an MOU with Sumitomo Corporation, where we agreed to look at how we can develop the Japanese market together. And I think Japan could be a place where you also have a supply chain. You have plenty of experience when it comes to automation and robotics, and made in Japan is still quite high on a quality brand.
And of course you have 1 or 2 nice references from Japan as well.
Yes, we have already agreed on the Asahi tankers will be the first fully electric bunker barges in Tokyo Bay. And of course Japan has a huge domestic market itself.
Do you have a timeline in mind for when you might establish a factory in Japan?
Factory will come when the volumes are there. We will supply out of Norway and Vancouver and Finland, but I think that the market will grow so rapidly, so I think we will be maybe having an opening like here in 2-3 years.
And you have rapidly grown your product range, but
yeah.
Knowing you as I do, you won't sit still.
No.
So what are you going to add to when I sit down with you in a year or two's time, what will you have added to the product line?
We will say that very close to launch a very high power one that can capture the energy from the drilling industry. I think maybe the next one could be something in between there, that you can be spinning reserve for gas turbines, doing the same savings that we do on diesel and gas engines today on gas turbines, maybe for the offshore oil and gas industry. The huge emissions that are and cost related to big gas turbine just being a backup and running for redundancy.
And what are you seeing in terms of availability of raw materials? Because there are many industries after the same raw materials as yourselves.
No, that of course is a challenge. We are very close with our suppliers, and we see that our suppliers of the battery cells, and they're also investing in production technology. So the whole supply chain is developing, not only of course driven by the marine, but driven by automotive and land-based energy storing system.
Now the passenger ship segment is synonymous with your technology. It has led the pack. But are you starting to receive inquiries from outside of that sphere?
Yeah, we have now from small full electric fishing boats that we are these days commissioning batteries that goes on board one of the biggest container ships in the world.
And final question from my side. If I was to ask you to look in your crystal ball, what's going to be the lay of the land in 5 years' time?
Then I think that you will see that a lot of short sea shipping can be fully electric, and I see that every vessel, that new building that goes out, will be a kind of hybrid. When you look at the savings you'd have in the operation, but I think also that the batteries, when you're making a new build, will actually bring capex down instead of bring it up, because you can reduce the installed power, because you're going to run the ships totally differently.
Now, very last question. You're obviously a long way down the line in terms of this journey on the battery front. If you could give yourself advice, if you could go back in time and give advice to yourself at the start of this journey, what would you tell your younger self before embarking on the journey you've been?
No, I think that you should be. That's a very difficult question. I think that we need to we should have built some of the production capacity earlier, because that to have this kind of manual production line to ramp up is not sustainable. So if you do this again, I think we should have done this investment slightly earlier.